You know what's funny is we took this trip to Tulum as sort of a last effort, a last thought, if you will, attached to another trip that we were not even planning on going all the way out to the Yucatan Peninsula for. We didn't post almost any photos from this trip as well because it was kind of more of like a baby moon, chill getaway, actual vacation for us, and we weren't there working with any brands or shooting anything for work. So this was more meant to be a trip that was supposed to just be a sort of relaxing us time for my wife and I. But the few photos that we did post from Tulum really, I think, excited all of your imaginations because I got so many Instagram messages and messages from friends asking us, how did you like Tulum? How did you get there? And of course, then once we start saying things like, well, we saw flights for $29, we were able to get a hotel with a private hot tub or rooftop pools, beach clubs. It kind of excites the imagination. I'm a little bit excited just thinking about it, even though we're back now in the Pacific Northwest. It's raining. There's a wind advisory. I can't even go outside. I guess I could. It wouldn't be safe. It wouldn't be like how I was in Tulum. So I figured I'd make this video to share with you guys 5 tips how to get the most out of your Tulum travel, especially if you haven't booked it yet, if you're looking to book travel to Tulum, a little vacation getaway. I'm gonna be targeting mostly travelers coming from other parts of North America, i.e. the United States or Canada. But if you're coming from somewhere like Europe or Africa, this will probably help you out. At least the last few sections of this video will help you out, but just stay tuned. I'll leave some chapter markers down below so it's easy to navigate and you guys can get hopefully something out of this video. Let's dive right into it. First, we gotta talk about flights. I was very encouraged to have us take this detour in our trip. We were already planning a trip to Mexico City and then down to Morelos for my cousin's wedding. When I saw on Google Flights that Mexico City to Tulum, or in this case Cancun, because you have to fly into Cancun, and we'll get into ground transport and how all that works in the next section of this video. But when I saw like $29 flights from Mexico City to Cancun, yeah, that was gonna happen. That was going to happen. That was an invitation, if you will. Now, as far as what I've been seeing on Google Flights, since there's been some global issues with oil supply and a bunch of weird stuff happening, you can still find flights around $30, $40 if you book ahead of time and if you are willing to fly at different hours and depending on your bags and how much you want to pack, all that stuff, but very affordable flights from Mexico City. But maybe you're saying, hey Steven, I'm up in the Pacific Northwest or New England, how do I get to Tulum, at least flying? How do I fly to Cancun? Let's get you there. I think if you're flying from the East Coast, I would say one of the easiest ways to access Cancun is to try to find a domestic flight in the United States, or if you're coming through Canada, try to find a way to get to San Antonio, Texas. That seems to be one of the better hubs to get down to Mexico City. If you are able to get down to Houston, that's probably also close as well. That can get you potentially a cheaper direct flight to Cancun. If you're coming from the west coast of North America, what we did was we flew down to San Diego. We got a cheap Southwest flight down there and then walked across the border to Tijuana and then flew from Tijuana to Mexico City. We've actually seen flights from Tijuana to Mexico City as cheap as $23. Again, that would be dependent on your baggage and the time that you're willing to fly, but it's very easy to string together a few cheap flights and be able to travel one way, even from the far reaches of the north corners of the contiguous US, and get down to Cancun for less than $100 or around $100 one way. Now, however you end up flying into Cancun, the next thing you will need to do is to get ground transportation down to Tulum. The best way to do that, if you are with a group of people, we're able to maybe split the cost of that transport, would be to get a dedicated transport shuttle booked ahead of time. Now, this is something that we did because we were flying in too late for our second option, which I'll share in a moment. But these transports typically cost around $100 US. They'll pick you up at the airport right when your flight lands. Our shuttle company, I'll leave a link down below for them, were great. They showed up exactly when they said they would, picked us up, took us directly to our hotel, and then came back when we needed to depart our hotel a few days later, picked us up, took us right back to the airport right when we needed to. everything went off without a hitch, and we weren't worrying about trying to call Ubers, being late for the airport, or being late for a flight or something. It just worked out really well. I would highly recommend doing that. Now, if you're traveling by yourself or maybe one other person where you're looking for a more economical solution, there is the Ado bus, which is like a regional transport bus. It's about $15 to $20 US. It'll take you from Cancun to Tulum. Be advised though that this particular bus only runs certain hours of the day and certain days of the week. So check the timetables. I'll link that down below as well, but that could be a more affordable option to get you those 100 kilometers down south to Tulum. The question that I had a lot of friends ask coming from North America to somewhere down in Mexico, South Mexico, very far South Mexico, in the Yucatan Peninsula, was what to wear. Now, if you're a dude, what I would recommend is sandals, board shorts, or some type of swim trunk bathing short, something that you would wear in warm tropical weather, and maybe some light t-shirts or polo shirts, because the whole time we were there, even though it was March, early March, it was 85 degrees every single day. If you're a woman, I'm smart enough to know that I should not be giving you advice on that, but however you would dress in 85-degree jungle by the beach weather, go with that. And then regardless of who you are, make sure you wear sunscreen. This is super important. Obviously, you want to protect yourself, especially if you're not living somewhere where you are constantly exposed to near equatorial sun. Here's the pro tip that I will give you, the Mexican tip, the locals tip, if you will. You'll see a lot of these places like pharmacias on the main strip and areas of Tulum that will sell you sunscreen. Now, you can get sunscreen there, that is fine, but you will be paying about a 2 to 4 times markup for sunscreen in these places. What I would recommend, there's several grocery stores in Tulum, and you can even go to like a gas station, like an OXXO. You'll see those all around. They sell sunscreen, and it's gonna be much more closer to what you would expect to pay probably wherever you are from, somewhere like around $5 to $10 US, depending on how much sunscreen you're buying in a bottle or whatever. But yeah, make sure you get sunscreen. I hate packing sunscreen in my checked bag because I feel like it always blows up, explodes, gets over everything. You can put it in a plastic bag, but then you just have an exploded plastic bag of sunscreen. So I usually just go to an OXXO or a grocery store. That's what we did this last time we were there, bought a nice bottle of sunscreen, and we were set for the rest of the trip. Now, this is the one that all my friends, because they go, hey, Steven, you're Mexican, you spend a lot of time in Mexico, you've been to, I don't even know how many Mexican states now. What should I eat? Where should I look for food? What kind of food should I be looking to eat in the Yucatan, in Tulum? And what I'll tell you is the big thing out there is what's called mariscos, which is seafood effectively. A few fun things that you can try is pulpo, which is octopus, and my personal favorite dish, which is actually just from a little bit farther north in Mexico in a different state called Veracruz, but huachinango veracruzana. Now this is like a fish that's done with, I guess, the equivalent of like a pico de gallo or like salsa on it. It's a little bit spicy, but very good, very tasty if you find a place that will do it in Tulum. Maybe someone at your hotel can recommend you a place. I sadly did not find a spot for a good huachinango veracruzana, but we did later on the trip outside of Tulum. Be on the lookout for that. I think that's a great plate, and it's kind of a fun thing to say. And obviously I couldn't talk about going to Tulum or going to Mexico, especially if you're not someone who frequents Mexico. You want a taco. That's really, isn't that what we all want? I think that's what we all want in life. We ended up going to Taqueria Chachalacos like probably 3 times in 5-ish days that we were there. They were decent tacos for the right price. It ended up being about $1.20, I think $1.50 per taco. They had adobada, they had pastor, all that stuff. Good stuff, would recommend. You can easily walk to it either from the beach side of things, or if you're in downtown Tulum, and get yourself a taco. Open late as well. I think the first night we went there, we got there at like midnight, and it was just great to kind of hang out and get some tacos. Now, the final tip that I will leave you with is how to look at your Tulum trip as far as do you want to stay in a hotel? Do you want to stay in a hostel? Do you want to stay on the beach at a beach club? Or do you want to stay maybe closer to in town. What I will say is we did not stay, at least on this trip, on the beach. I have been to the Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Cancun area before, stayed on the beach, did the whole all-inclusive resort thing. And for me personally, I don't think the all-inclusive path is the way to go when it comes to going to Tulum. There's a lot of cool architectural places that you can go to, or the like zona archaeological, like how do you say it in English? The archaeological zones where you can go see like 2,000-year-old pyramids and temples and stuff, like Koba and the Wind Temple, the Temple of the Wind God. All those are cool to check out. And obviously you're kind of not getting your money's worth if you're paying to stay at a resort on the beach with access to like a beach club and all these other things. We stayed at the Kimpton, Aluna, Tulum, which was just a little bit inland, but it was kind of perfect between downtown and the beach. It was very easy then to go to a beach club for a day or two if we wanted to, and then also walk into town and check out the vibe in town, eat local food, and do all that fun stuff as well. And it was at the Kimpton Aluna that we were able to get a rooftop pool, which was at our hotel. We also had a room with a private terrace and private hot tub, which ended up being awesome. We ended up there pretty much every night of our trip. It was a great way to sort of decompress at the end of the day. After a day of decompressing, you could decompress from your day of decompressing. It was very nice, very, very nice. And the beach club that we ended up going to was Ikal, which is more of like a yoga sort of chill vibe. There's more sort of party vibe Tulum beach clubs that you can go to. Ikal is a little bit more like they were doing, I think, yoga when we got there. And then by the time we left, someone was teaching a samurai sword instruction class thing. Super random, but people seem to be digging it, I guess. I don't know. I'll actually link down below one of my favorite YouTubers, LeBlanc, did like a whole video on different beach clubs, different hotels and resorts you can stay at. I think it's good if you're looking for more of like a party beach club or looking to maybe spend a little bit more money. I think there's definitely a better way to do Tulum on a budget. Kind of like some of the things I'm already talking about with the flights, ground transportation, staying off of the beach, especially if you want to go see more things like cenotes and like these archaeological zones and some of these other places, get more of the local vibe. And there's always hostel options as well. Since I'm married and my wife is pregnant, we weren't going to stay in a hostel, but that's still a great option if you want to. And even if you are married and maybe pregnant, maybe you will still want to stay at a hostel. I don't know. You know, that's on you. You can do whatever you want. This is for you to give you guys some insights, advice, tips, things that I've seen now after going to this place twice, having been to Mexico now several times, and having flown across that country more times than I can count now at this point. So hopefully something in this video helped you out. Please like this video if it did, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. For everyone who already has, thank you so much. That's kind of what helps me to continue to do this and make these videos for all of you. I really do appreciate it because I really do enjoy this. Be kind both in life and in the comments below, and like this video to send good vibes across the internet. We'll do it again soon. Later.